We're back with the Snake Man. It seems like he is hard on the grind. Actually, I'd say he's grinding more right now than most players who are qualified for World, at least from what I can see on the leaderboards. And it looks like he's gone up against Kryzor. Now, Kryzor is no pushover. For those unaware of who this lad is, Kryzor has been working at it. This Swiss lad has been really desperately trying to make it in the comp scene. Hasn't really been able to have his time to shine so far, which is pretty rough for him when you consider he's frequently in the top 50, I'd say. Right now, at the time of recording, he's ranked 41st. I believe Viper is around the 50 rank. Let's see if he can educate the Snake Man, or Snake Man's going to be able to take away. 1 second. I just realized I was playing yesterday, which means that I need to turn my observing tools back on. And we're back to it. So, we're going to be going to high view. It feels like Viper gets this a lot, right? Like, it's actually ridiculous how often we seem to be spectating him here on high view. And he's just gone for the deli again. So it seems like this is an intended plan for Viper. It's a pretty cool idea, like, overall, actually. I think the deli are very good on Dry Arabia, and they've always been seen as historically useful on Lipany. But Highview, they kind of slept on. I think Highview is one of those ones where you can kind of throw loads of curveballs. There's no de facto king, in my opinion, for the Highview maps. Like, it used to be Mongols a long time ago. That's fallen off. English can't really function as well because you'd think in theory they'd be able to, but getting all the outposts set up early on kind of feels like a must, and it doesn't come quick enough usually. Abbasids, yeah, you can put that anywhere. Rus, yeah, you can put that anywhere. Delhi kind of makes sense in a lot of ways. And I mentioned the Rus. The Rus is going to make an appearance here. This used to be the El Clasico. We used to always see them here, actually. But somewhat fallen off. And the reason they've fallen off is, for a start, I don't feel like as many people are practicing Rus on the ladders, those that are trying to play in comp play, just because they know it's getting banned so frequently. And if it does get seen, it's getting seen on weirder maps or just in custom games, really, right? In custom games, you can actually get it out. Like, you've got to think about Four Lakes is an incredible one. Frisian Marsh is another great one. And at the same time, not only do you have these very powerful points of selection for the Rus, they remain probably the most functional cookie-cutter pick in the game. Like, actually, I can't think of any other Civ that can be picked anywhere to the same extent that Rus can. Actually, Abbasids and Rus now. But the weird part is actually a lot of people still prioritize Rus as a ban simply because of how they function on water hybrid maps compared to the Abbasids. Something that will, of course, be changing with the upcoming patch when the water side gets reworked. Maybe there's a little bit of a change in the balance of power there. But for the time being, Rus definitely not high on people's priority list of things to practice, simply because quite frequently when we do watch competitive, it's banned all the time. Anyway, look at the start of this game. Kryzor, we are almost 3 minutes in, only 120 bounties so far, and looks like some Wolfskis are being yoinked away from him by the Viper. And Viper also did go for a second scout. I like this choice. You kind of have to up against the Rus, otherwise you're just feeding into them, and looks like he's actually feeding gold over in that situation, not able to block out the Wolf. But looking at the deer stacks, there is still one on the backside that Kryzor can snatch. So he should be able to achieve 250 bounty, which is decent. Usually you want to be closer to 300. There could be a ball play in this game. In fact, I would definitely very much encourage it for Kryzor based on the ball placement next to the central sacred site. He could easily leverage this, and the best part for him is actually after he finishes that ball, the next one isn't too far off, and there's deer retracted behind. So this overall is a very good spawn for a Rus player to utilize the pocket ecos in the mid-map. You need to be careful in your timing, of course. You can see the Viper's trying to make his own way up, and ooh, Kryzor, I'm not so sure about this. He's only opted for 4 people teching up. Usually the Rus player can afford to go up to 6, and that gives you a very quick tech up timing. Would allow him to go into the mid-map with Wheelbarrow and take that ball. Now that that detail's missing, I don't think Kryzor should go for the ball play. The logic is that by the time you get out there, Viper can already have a stable build, his first horseman coming out, and 1 horseman can actually screw over your entire plan. Once he gets to 2, there's no way you're getting the TC up, and even a wooden fortress feels like a little bit of a stretch considering how long these buildings now take to construct. And now that he is building the wooden fortress at home, that should be confirmation. Kryzor is not going to be going for the ball play. Could still be going for the double TC play, though. And I definitely think he should be. I think that you have to go for one or the other. TC booming is just way too easy to pass up. I think the only Civ that hasn't really been infected with that bug entirely has to be the Delhi so far, that still seem to just go for the 1 TC and play aggro plus healing. Tech up, so Stung to come out. Rax has been prepped ahead of time by Viper. I don't mind this choice. This way you can get additional troops out if your opponent goes for a proxy base. But then also on top of it, you can counter out Night Play later on. And wow, Chrysler actually does go for the ball in a delay. A very big delay, actually. And he has got enough wood to get the Wooden Fortress down. I hope he prioritizes that first. Scout is going to move in and try to be a little bit of a nuisance here. Good old Pumbaa. Can't turn the tides for Viper, but Viper should have the first Rax units coming out now. They are going to be a little bit slow, and it looks like Chrysler, maybe I underestimated him. Like, in fairness to him, this is pretty cool. Typically, you see 6 people on the Golden Gate for a quicker tech up time. But by doing that, you don't have enough wood to necessarily afford the Wooden Fortress optimally. At least not if you want Hunt Cabin a good time as well. Chrysler, because he had only 4 people working on the tech up, he had additional people on the wood line, so he got his Wooden Fortress sooner, which led on to a ripple effect of him getting the payback faster on that investment to be able to afford this additional defense in the mid-map. That's a pretty crafty innovation on an atypical build. If you look at most high-level players that go for ball plays, it's almost always 6 working Golden Gate. And then you pull 2 from the wood line as you shift across the board, but I like this innovation from Chrysler. Like, it actually impressed me. The timing was really, really good. You actually saw that Viper couldn't even get the first Spearman out. But then again, part of this is on Viper. He chose to build the racks really late. He could have built that ahead of time and pushed them out into the mid-map. I don't know if he was somewhat paranoid about the potential for just it to be archers straight away from the Roost player. But I feel like the Spearman upside is just too good. If you think about what your win conditions are and what you're looking to do in the first 10 minutes of the game, getting a few additional spears out ahead of your feudal age timing is good, because even if you're not able to take fights, what you can do is wall off areas. And if you're able to wall off the central sacred site or the back sacred site, all of a sudden you're guaranteeing gold a few minutes down the line. But now Viper's going to have to go back to the drawing board. Isn't really going to get the impact he's looking for now. And Chrysler does go for that secondary TC. Loving what this man is doing. Secures the gold vein as well. This will allow him to get into Knights. And we might even see him branch off onto the deer stack on the west side, considering he's now got this Wooden Fortress placement on the ball, which is giving a lot of vision in the area. In fact, what I'd love to see is what I mentioned earlier. After he's done this one, shift over to the other ball, because the other added detail on why this ball is so good to go for. It's not just that it's so close, it's that it allows you to drop another Wooden Fortress that will cover all access on the west side, meaning you can then fall back onto the deer without any worry of Viper attacking you there. Or at least if he tries to, you're going to have a very big heads up. Vipesky now starting to push out the troops. Chrysler only having the scouts so far. Looks like he found an additional wolf. Not too bad. So he gets a little bit of extra cheddar on the side, but really needs to start getting some units out. Now, this condensed format is going to be very difficult for Viper to push into the main base, but by about 9 to 10 minutes, Viper could easily have enough troops to torch down this Wooden Fortress while the Scholars heal off any fire coming their way. You can see him starting to posh with that. I don't think I want to see Viper going just yet. Right now, he only has 1 Scholar ready to party. You want to have 2 to 3. With Piety, they'll be tanky enough as well. Piety, that by the way, is a minute and a half off, which is why I didn't expect the timing this quick. But I like this detail from Viper. He utilizes the Horsemen to run in and force idle time and gets them out just in time to heal off any damage done. It's a pretty crafty idea. Just slows down Chrysler's timing as well, because you can see what he's targeting. He's actually gone 2 TC fast castle. He's doing this completely bareback, by the way. No units coming out. It's a very dangerous way for Chrysler to be playing this format. Dive in's going to be there. Viper is actually committing, interestingly enough, without the Scholars there to heal either. A puzzling choice, actually, somewhat. Scouts are going to join in as well, so he should have enough damage to torch this down. And notice that he peels back injured units so the Scholars can heal, but that's only going to work for the Horsemen. The Spearmen do not move quick enough. Speaking of Spearmen, more of them are on the way. And you can see Viper. Like, this is what I mean. You can't run away. You just have to commit. There's no point in even trying to retreat away from this. So a heavy cost, actually, for a Delhi player, losing this many spears at the beginning. But if he can pick at least half of the villagers here, it's going to be worth it. And he should be able to get them as well. There's going to be a retreat away, though. A little bit too quick for him. Viper will give pursuit, though. Horseman can at least pick 1 or 2. But overall, Chrysler will get away from this problem. He did get over half of the boar, so about 1,200 food collected. A decent amount, actually. And that will actually escalate him towards his timing. The concern, however, is if Chrysler does go for the tech up, he's very limited on food now. That tech up is going to be eyeballed. Love this choice by Viper. Instantly pivots to the west. You have to realize that in this situation, Kryzor needs additional food. Of course, we can see Cry at least has some sheep in reserve underneath his TC, but he's maybe got 1.5k food max at a generous estimation, and then he has to come out into berries or further out. You can see the deer, even on the backside, aren't safe. There's a patrol coming around from Viper, and while the tech up is underway from Kryzor, Viper is now going into the sacred sites, and you can see Kryzor understands the food deficit he's going to be facing. Only choice is to completely invest into farms. Great long-term solution, but it does cripple your timing at the beginning of Castle Age. Actually means that Viper can now have some choices available to him. He could choose to go for a tech up himself. He could choose to double down on Feudal, and he might even be able to get to a high enough quantity of troops that he could breach the base. All sacred sites taken. I think Viper's just going to go for the all-in Feudal now. It makes a lot of sense when you look at the format, right? Like, he's got a good count. Kryzor has no standing army. He's pinned him in. There's limited food. He knows there's a wood transition, which is going to slow down his opponent more. I think you just go for Siege Engineering and get rams, and I believe Viper did complete that. Yeah, so he can now construct the rams. Of course, Kryzor does have access to the horse archers, which could be somewhat infuriating, so we'd love to see Viper sidestep into archery range as well. Just means that the horse archers can't combat you. Their range is inefficient for it. And the reason, by the way, why you want to have archers so much against horse archers is without archers, your scholars can't be protected. They will be peppered down by horse archers. So the whole idea is it's kind of a deterrent to getting rid of your healing factor. Interestingly enough, Kryzor actually goes a different way with the opening build. Doesn't even think about horse archers, goes straight into men-at-arms, which is a crafty pick, actually, because it forces Viper's hand. Viper only has one choice now, and it's to tech up. And he is now teching up. It's going to be the House of Learning. So long term, this is going to give him the edge over the Rus player, because, of course, you can get into the home blades. And that's just something the Rus can't match. So there should be a transition coming out from Kryzor. He needs to collect as many relics as possible before it's too late. But you can see Viper is making it difficult due to the fact that he's walling in some of these relics. And also blocking out the Warrior Monk trying to return here. Can't even go for a wall loss. A little bit too late. No matter how tanky you are, Kryzor knows. The best thing you can do is pull it close. The reason he didn't wall, by the way, is because the horseman will pull back and you just be further away from gathering the relic. This way, your second monk can easily come and pick it up. Walls are going to be going for Kryzor, so it looks like he does want to get access to the deer. Yes, he's set up farms, but there's only so much safe for him. So the logic behind all these wooden walls, they allow you to essentially secure this entire area. Otherwise, you're condensed underneath 2 TCs. You just don't actually have enough room for the amount of farms required for what's coming. Speaking of those farms, Viper slowly making his way into them himself. He's going to play Pocket Eco because right now there's no aggression coming his way at all. Sacred Site decaps are now underway as Kryzor is moving to the center of the map. One big issue for Kryzor, and this is actually what I love about Viper, is that because his opponent went for men-at-arms, Viper can now play Pocket Eco. He can go on the flanks because there's no cavalry to come and punish him. So until he sees any knights being produced by Kryzor, he can get away with this choice with next to no risk associated with it. Pretty cool detail to always know. I think I talk about this a lot, but I think it's very important. If your opponent does get forced off of cavalry, you can play Pocket Ecos. It's pretty much a free state of the game. And I don't blame Kryzor for going for the men-at-arms, by the way. He was budgeted on food at the beginning of Castle Age, and he needed something to buffer his opponent away. He's also up against spears, so knights wouldn't cut it. So he needed the only heavily armored unit that made sense was men-at-arms. And it did get his opponent out of his base, but by doing this, it meant that Viper got to play the wide side of the map for free. I love how when these men-at-arms turn around, by the way, they look like someone surrendered. You saw that, right? Like, wait, what? He's GG'd? Can't even see the purple. Tower Elephant coming out is really bad news for Kryzor. He does not really have the solution to that because the men-at-arms just aren't quick enough. Viper. Things are going to get better for him. So he's going to elephants. He's got herbal medicine already primed and researching. Blacksmiths are working on the goodies. Would love to see Military Academy coming out. Maybe Viper feels like his economy isn't strong enough for it yet. But once he starts picking up these relics, it easily could be. In fact, how the relics looking right now. Kryzor only getting one at this point. Lancer's already hitting the field for Viper. And remember, he hasn't prepped home blades. Oh, no. Not like this, Viper. The most important tech that you could get here, considering you're going into Lancers. We'll see if he goes back for it soon. And a third TC from Chrysor. This might be a bit too greedy. Remember that Viper is only now going with second TC. He heavily delayed himself. And this is not scouted, by the way. Chrysor's making this choice blind, which is dangerous from his position. He hasn't even walled himself in successfully. We'll try it now, but villages are being raided. Tower Elephant is going to have to peel back, though. It looks like Chrysor does have a good enough standing army. And really, Viper should be wiggling his way in with the Lancers on the backside, but so far, limited attempts, really. He's got a few horsemen back here, but the Lancers didn't get in quick enough. However, the opening remains exactly that. Oh, Chrysor. He didn't tap quick enough. TC should at least go up in time. This can be very difficult. Wrap around in time, though, from Chrysor means the Tower Elephant is going to get pinched. Good maneuvering there. Viper, a little bit too cocky, a little bit too confident into that choke point, and he gets choked. That's a big pick as well. 1,000 resources just down the drain for Viper. That's going to set back his timing. He has at least got the secondary TC on the deer stack and berries, so he's going to be able to afford more elephants in the coming minutes, but it still strikes back at that key timing he's looking for, probably around the 19 to 20 minutes where you have, say, 3 tower elephants, 5 to 6 scholars with them, and you're looking to ball into your opponent's base. So with that setback, it allows Chrysor to try and catch up. You can see he's doing a good job of that. 33 military to the 41. We do have to remember that Viper had a healthy lead at the start of the game due to there not really being any military presence from Chrysor. And shout out to Gangster Khan. Hope you had a good stream. Thank you for leading these poor souls astray. Welcome to the bird party. Poor little Timmy here on sentry duty. He's about to attend a party he wants no part of. 1 spear, 11 men at arms. Poor guy. Roll some raids into the base in the meantime, but Viper, like, it's only horsemen is the issue. Really needs the Lancers to get in. He's trying to wiggle his way in, but these spearmen are always pursuing, and Chrysor is quick on the reactions, so keeps that healthy 50 Nico lead. Remember, he did go for a third TC, so will continue to extend it despite the fact that Viper went for the catch-up. I say that. Okay, Chrysor doesn't even realize at first. Villagers just getting picked. And more to come, because it looks like Chrysor is trying to get a defensive keep going, but Viper is looking for an aggressive one. And he actually could go for a very spicy drop on this double tree line. In fact, if he drops a keep between these two trees here, I don't think Chrysor actually has any long-term wood solutions. Speaking of wood, with this line now wearing thin, the Lancers are going to make it even worse by picking a few villages before making their way out. Chrysor did at least go into textiles. This is going to offset some of the losses, but overall, Viper just got way too much information out of this. He knows about the stone, he knows about the wood, and also, speaking of that stone, it's now unguarded. Chrysor hasn't even noticed because of the pings going off in his base. He's distracted on the front side because of the push-in. A good two-pronged assault from Viper. Hits down a few villagers and then makes sure that Chrysor fails to get the stone he was looking for. Swing that stone. Where is it actually gone? Wow. Okay, so Viper's actually going for a keep drop in the center. I'm a bit surprised that he didn't go more aggressive with this. Definitely had the opportunity to do so, and I would argue that dropping the keep here near the stone outcropping doesn't get you anything less out of this. It gets you more. You still got the sacred site, you also guard a stone outcropping, and then you also block out the wood lines that Chrysor's going to need. Maybe the argument from his perspective is it's too close to Chrysor's base, right? So if you drop that keep and he builds a trebuchet, then you don't have any way of sniping the treb. Whereas having the keep this far out, if Chrysor does go into a trebuchet, it has to come out to about here, which is going to put it in range of these cell forests where you can raid into it. So might not be the worst choice. Viper. Looks like he is trying to prioritize sacred sites. He's going to need to get some walls up on the east side to justify it, though. New wave of men-at-arms at least coming in. Viper. Looks like he's lost that military lead he had for a long time. However, Chrysor has also lost his eco lead. They're neck and neck now, but actually, neck and neck isn't good enough. Remember, if you look at the map, you can see, for some reason, Chrysor never got his second relic, but Viper got 3 of the other ones. And he has 2 sacred sites, so income looking a lot better for Chrysor right now. For Viper right now, rather. And I'm splash in the center. It's not a fight that Chrysler should be taking, though. That's going to cost him dearly in these raids on the backside. I mean, you can't help but feel he needed to wall this east side a long time ago. The fact it's remained open has allowed Viper to sneak in time and time again. Such a bloody nuisance. Just a few Lancers still in here can cause such a pain. Chrysler is at least trying to cauterize that pain. He has got the stone required for the keep drop, but that keep drop could now be contested. It's double elephant. Not to mention the fact that you can also see Vipers once again gathering stone at the center. He'll go for an aggressive keep drop, and Chrysler will have to be overly defensive of his own. Sneaks it on the corner at least. That should go up for free. As it looks like there's going to be a justification on the east side for Viper. He actually wants to set up in this area. Wouldn't be surprised if we see a keep crawl towards this eastern sacred site. Just locks in a win condition and ensures that Chrysler has to come to you and not the other way around. It's always tough being in this type of situation. Like, man, this is why, like, people always get so frustrated by cavalry. All you can do is stare as they run away. And, you know, you're at least idling me, forcing them away, but this is the advantage of being the aggressor. Like, Viper, as long as he doesn't micro absolutely abysmally, he's always going to force Chrysler to make more clicks, more reactions, right? To position Spearman in place, to build more defenses, to do all these things. And Viper just gets to have a freer game. Like, the difference in these two players is that one has been allowed to play the mid-map with economy for free. The other has not been able to and has actually lost economy at home. That's the difference. That's the power of being the aggressor, by the way. That's why it's more important to play to win than play to survive. And right now, Chrysler is still playing to survive. He needs to find a way to start winning. Because he's not winning on the eco anymore. Hasn't been for a while. And he's definitely not winning on the military. And he's definitely not going to be winning on the keep drops. No one coming in. Oi. Push in with the Tower Elephant. Spearman, Mass, Viper. Oh, I don't think you read the patch notes, buddy. These guys aren't as tanky as they used to be. You can't stand there like that. Although it does bait the Spearman in. A lot of them are going to be traded out in exchange. And the keep is now going to start going up for Viper. Pushback seems to be working. Chrysler now hesitant to take a fight. It looked good at the start, especially with the fact that these elephants decided they wanted to headbutt the spears. But now Chrysler is being out-microed, baited in once again. Spearman mass being depleted fast. Once the spears are gone, he has no answer to the elephants. And the keep drop is going to be a success for Viper. He can easily set up a siege workshop behind this. This is about to get very dicey. Rams already moving in on the Abbey of Trinity. That's going to strip away some of the gold that Chrysler's getting. The Spearman still cannot answer the elephants. And it looked so good at the start, but my God. Viper, he flirted with death there. He baited his opponent into a fight that he thought he wanted. But he was wrong. Those Spearmen just could not gap close quick enough. And now the Rams are unanswered because the Spearman mass isn't good enough to dive here. Siege Workshop is going to be prepped. Trebuchet also now being built. Remember that all three Sacred Sites have been capped as well, so Viper has that win condition. So even if he just trades out evenly in this base of Chrysler's, it's a good trade for him. Spearman once again being baited past the Rams. These elephants, it's almost like Chrysler thinks Viper's not going to be watching. And maybe if he wasn't, this is a great move, but every time he chases these elephants, he falls further behind. And now it's yoink time. Scholar moves in, he says, that relic belongs to me. You don't need it anymore. It's not like you can gather any gold anyway. And with the keep drop here, Chrysler, does he even realize? He just dove into keep range. More troops going down. Rams now moving across. I can't actually believe the amount of damage Viper's getting done with Rams in this game. It's actually incredible. He takes out the Abbey of Trinity. He takes out the Wooden Fortress. He's going to take out the keep with the assistance of the Trebuchet. This is looking really good for him. Chrysler needs to find a way of getting behind this. Like, taking the fights directly isn't assisting him in any way. He needs to stem the reinforcements. Or he needs to buy time to build more reinforcements of his own. However, reinforcements are arriving for the yellow side here. Double the elephant power now. Oi, and with the keep barely being kept alive. Chrysler can't afford this indefinitely. He can't even keep it up anyway. Castle is going to get dropped when the next Treb shot comes in. Whoop. Bye-bye, keep. Good snipe there, and that's going to open up the rest of the base. Now, remember, Chrysler's already lost one landmark. There's only two remaining, and they are stacked next to each other. Whew. Farms are also now going to start being targeted. Love that detail. It means that if Viper does get pushed away, Cryzor has to invest 75 wood per farm to replace it. It's actually a really good choice here, especially considering that trebuchets can one-hit these farms. Cryzor, he's finally realized the mistake he made. He's just trying to build military, but mistake too late, I think. The issue you now have is that Viper's going to keep ahead of you up until pop cap. He even yoinks another relic. That's how long it's been that he's been here. Ran all the way back to base and returned for the other goodie. Now with 3 trebuchets and the damage pummeling in, I mean, Cryzor, he's going to be forced to go in the next 20 seconds. You can't actually wait until the TC's being sieged, because it's going to take a lot to even try and win this fight anyway. He has to go. Elephant's moving in. Spears are going to get a good opportunity to strike here. Viper wasn't paying attention as well as he has in the past, but looks like the Spear's attacking the wrong one. Okay. I mean, this is short now. He should have had 2 to 3 elephants in his grasp there, but it's attacking the wrong ones. And Viper once again buys space. This is all he needed. Look at the damage on the TC already. Cryzor's going to have to mass repair, and I don't know how long he can mass repair for. I mean, repairing a TC is not cheap, folks. So I'm pointing out the Scholar count. Yeah, it is low. The interesting part, actually, about the way that the Viper's played this, he hasn't utilized healing on the front line at all in these elephants. They've just taken damage and stood their ground, and they don't stand their ground. Now they want to plow in. Ellie's on the move. Spears are going to move past, and mistakes made as Viper stands still again. But it's just making space for the trebuchet. Trebuchet count that is now up to 4. Even prepping Greased Axles, interesting choice. I think you just go more trebuchets here to end the game, as there is only 1 landmark left, and you can see Cryzor idling 20 villagers to keep himself in this. Means he's going to struggle to keep up production. You can see the issue here. He's down to 25 military. Meanwhile, Viper maintains a 70+. This is done. I mean, it's great utilization by Viper. It is interesting the way he didn't have to leverage that much healing to win these battles. But great keep placements. Great reaction after he sees the Castle Age agree to Cryzor to match it himself. And great positioning on the edge of the base. And what allowed him to do this, what got him to this state, this whole way, by the way, was the fact that Cryzor decided to double greed. TC plus Castle Age Rush, he had 0 map presence whatsoever. The closest it came to Cryzor being present in the mid-map was a Wooden Fortress drop on the board at the beginning, which of course got burnt down. From that point onwards, the entire map is more or less controlled by Viper. This is the importance of map control. Like, map control wins games without a doubt. You can't forfeit it for free like this, and you can argue that Cryzor got a tech up and whatnot, but against the Delhi, I don't think forfeiting map control for this tech up plus TC boom is viable. Because you actually saw what happened. The moment the Viper stopped producing units, he caught up to Castle Age within less than a minute. Delhi power, especially when you give him all the sacred sites for free.